why do I still struggle with sexual temptation even after I've prayed or spent time with Jesus?
Do you want to get that one? Or? Okay, see, Dr. J.D. Greer said this, that sexual sin is the widest path to hell, but it's not the deepest path. And the reason that sexual sin is the widest path is because it's using a God-given desire and God-given passion. Sin is using a God-given desire and God-given passion in God-forbidden ways. So if we didn't have a desire to eat, we would die of starvation. If we didn't have a desire to sleep, we'd die of sleep deprivation. If we didn't have a desire for water, we would die of dehydration. If we didn't have a desire for sex, we wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. But the reality is, you're always going to have these desires as long as in this flesh body, and some of these desires are not ultimately, since you're in the flesh, are going to honor God. So as long as you're breathing, as long as you're sleeping, as long as you're on this earth, there are going to be temptations and urges that are not going to please to God. The challenge is we don't give in to them. It's part about being in this flesh. And ultimately, those sins are going to be removed. But in this moment, the Bible says we're in the process of sanctification, where we're becoming more like Jesus. And every time, here's what I realized, every time we say no to that desire, it's easier to say no the next time, the next time, the next time. You build up muscle. And every time you say yes to that desire, it's easier to say yes the next time and the next time. So it's ultimately disciplining yourself and your choices to honor the Lord and watching in those desires. The Bible says you got to kill the flesh. So watch what you watch what videos you watch the places that you go. It's got to be a battle all the time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no.
It's part of living in the flesh.
No, it is. And I think it's important for us to understand, freedom is not the absence of temptation. It's the ability to say no to the temptation.
Wow, so powerful.
Like, you will still have fleshful desires within your life, but they're not God's desires for your life. They're not God's plans for your life. And we should know that God's plans are greater than our plans. When we trust and put our weight on the Lord in moments of temptation, we have the power to say no to our flesh.
And let me just say that when strongholds are built in that area, it could be, and this is what we need to get counseling with all this. If there's been sexual abuse, there's some, you got to deal with that. Exposure to pornography at a young age, you got to deal with that. There's a lot of issues. Like, here's what the devil tempts us, and he brings our sinful desires and our natures out. That's what temptation does. Whatever this God-given desire, to use it in a God-forbidden way. And especially if we open up those desires,